foam, public parks where I roam, as a foam blasting gangster like Al Capone. Got a glass full of darts, take it straight to the dome. I like those high-speed blasters that rattle your bones. I'm thirsty for foam. Hey guys, it's Danny from Thirsty for Foam. Today I thought I'd try something different. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of the band Blaster's Cage. So I thought I'd go over an overview and put one together. This is, of course, almost pretty much completed, but I thought I'd go over different things that needed to be done in order to fit the cage and everything. So, let's see, I already have the loom set up. Let's take a look at what I needed to cut here for the cage. And it's a nice tight fit, as you can see. So I did cut some of this internal ribbing here. That doesn't really hurt anything in the shell. It probably supported the previous stock motors, but I find it always gets in the way of any additional wiring on the other side. Then to fit the cage, it does come up to this area here, right where there's a bend in this design, and you want to cut it flush with the little ribbing pieces at the bottom of the post. So if you cut it flush with that, you know, for most of it, pretty much all of it, I used just some snips and just kind of mangled it at angles until I could get it as smooth as possible, just pinching the plastic there. But once you get that all in, all cut, you should be able to fit it on this side of the shell. Now, that is not all of the shell cutting, because never forget the opposite side of the shell. A lot of people forget that, you know, things need to be cut there as well. So I've seen people crush rev switches because they forgot to cut something on the opposite side of the shell. Of course, this one doesn't have an issue with that, but I know in the rapid red I've seen people just crush a switch over and over again, forgetting that they needed to Dremel out space on the opposite shell. But anyways, the culprit here is going to be this right here. This peg insert piece screw port. It's just a little bit too thick. Now it does have a pretty thick wall, so I kind of pinched at it with the snips, and then took a file and then sandpaper and just kind of sanded it down till I had enough room where it was not hitting the wheel. And that's one of those things where you just kind of put the cage in there and you kind of open and close it at an angle so you can kind of see into it to see if it's hitting the wheel. So it's just one of those things you've got to just pay close attention to. But that's pretty much it to fit the cage in. I don't think I left anything out. My soldering job on the other side, you do want to leave some slack on the wires. That way when things vibrate, it's not pulling on the motor tabs. Some people do like to use heat shrink. I use heat shrink here and there, especially on the XT60 connector, or XT30 connector, actually on this one. On the battery connectors, I like to use heat shrink. But most of the parts where I don't assume it's going to be moving, I just leave it without heat shrink. So let's see if I can fit this back in. I'm using the existing wire channel. And so I did upgrade to a 21 amp switch. So the 21 amp switch is screwed in, but I did have to cut out a channel for it. So let's take a look at that. So, oh goodness, the magnetic screwdriver, which is handy. You want to cut it flush with this wall that's coming off of this. I think you guys can see it. That's coming off of this one right here. So if you cut it flush with this lower wall, the peg, this whole area here, You might even have to cut a little bit into here. I think there's a ribbon that came out a little bit. That way I can fit the switch in to where the rev trigger right here is going to actually put this right on the button. Now, as far as how to screw it in, I'll show you the length of the screw I'm using. I don't know where this screw comes from. I don't know if you can see. You want one that'll fit through the body and then have about a 1/2 inch or so go into the screw port. It's already existing. I didn't have to re-drill anything. Might have to, I just pretty much screwed it straight in using a longer screw. So we got that in. For those of you who are not familiar with wiring, I guess I can go over it loosely. So this one here, which is bent from just heating up too much, this is the normally open, meaning it's not making a circuit complete. This is the COM. This one over here is the normally closed. So if you did wire there in the COM, then it would just continuously rev as soon as you stuck in the battery. So we wanted it to be, this one here is going to go to the battery up here, and it's going to come up to the other side, and that's the oh my goodness, the normally open. So when you press it, it should close the circuit and provide power. So where's that power is going to travel through there to the COM, and that COM is going to go over. I just kind of, you know, if you had a full auto setup, I probably wouldn't wire it there. I'd probably drill some holes through these walls and wire it through this area. But since this is a semi-auto pusher that I'm putting in here, I went ahead and just did the lazy way and just kind of wrapped it around here. I used some hot glue here to keep it down behind the pusher so it doesn't interfere with it. And used existing wire channel, and then the positive, the way the band blasters came up for the wheels to spin correctly was the tabs on the rear of the cage, and then the negative, which would be the front facing motor tabs, and that wire, that negative, travels through into the battery as well. So that's where the negative of the battery is. Pretty simple wiring. I mean, if you forget, I know Captain Xavier has a good diagram up on his Facebook page. He also has a good 2-switch diagram for full auto and a 3-switch diagram for full auto. But yeah, I like his diagrams. They're colored, they're simple. Those are the ones, if I forget how to wire something, I refer to. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw in this motor here. Those of you who do not know what this BB is, that is band blasters. This is called a Banshee cage setup. This is my 3rd install, and they're pretty, besides the shell cutting, which really isn't that bad. I lost the screw. Curse me. And the magnets, I know it's stuck to a motor area. But these setups, they come pre-assembled. And what do I mean by pre-assembled? None of the soldering was done on them, but to be honest, soldering is just kind of, it's either under or it's not. Some are prettier than others, but if it works, it works. But the real work comes in his wheels. Besides him balancing all of his wheels, all of these are press fit to, you know, using a specialized tool only he has that aligns these wheels with each other pretty much perfectly every time. So this is my 3rd set, and yeah, I have not seen a misalignment of wheels. I mean, I try to look at it from every angle, left eye, right eye, and both eyes, and I did not see any difference in level on how these wheels are press fit. So they're pretty much perfect, which means the performance is going to be as near perfect as you can get for a flywheel, in my opinion. If these setups do come pre-assembled, you know, I did disassemble one, and I found it underneath the motor screws. He did use some blue thread locker, which is good news. The blue thread locker helps keep the screws in, because otherwise the screws are underneath these wheels. If your screws come loose, it's gonna hit the wheel, and then the wheel's gonna be jammed because there's a screw underneath of it that came out. And your motor's gonna wobble out of place, the axle will bend, it may hit the cage. Basically, you're gonna have a catastrophic thing happen if you don't have those motor screws in. So his being pre-assembled, you know that it has the Loctite on it, or the thread locker. So what am I using for thread locker when I do? I use one from out of Darts. I know another good one, I don't have it in front of me, is Bob Smith Industries, I believe. They have pretty good super glue of different types. Just a lot of different things with glue. If you look up Bob Smith Industries, I know Out of Darts is a big fan of them, and he sells a lot of their products. And I am a big fan of their product as well. Anyways, I'm digressing. I'm going to try to fast forward on this build here. The whole point was to make sure that while I was doing this build without any editing, that I wouldn't be so hung up with nothingness and boringness. Anyways, as you can see, I've got a bundle of screws here. If you got a magnet of any type, I've got hot glue on my finger from earlier. The magnets really help you keep from losing screws. I mean, even, you know, to be honest, when I'm screwing the blaster, I'll stick the magnet right on the screwdriver, and as I'm loosening the screws, I'll just stick them right there while I'm working. Just a little tip from somebody who's lost a lot of screws over the years, I guess. I did want to install this with a spring still. I do have this tight enough to where it will just use the spring on the switch. Oh yeah, one thing before I put that on there, I did have to fatten up the push area of this with hot glue, basically. And I used too much to get the shape I wanted, and then I had to carve out with a hobby knife anything that was making it rub, so that it worked smoothly. I did have to cut it at a slight angle as well, because it was a little too long for where I had placed the switch. Yeah. If I did not put that hot glue there, it's just less surface area for that switch to hit this little lever arm evenly. So, because I've seen it get caught and go sideways inside the blaster because there wasn't enough surface area. And with that hot glue filling, it's, yeah, looks like it's working pretty good there. So, let me see, make sure. Oh, so we are doing a short dart hybrid pusher in this. I know some people have mixed reviews about how this performs. Make sure this actually tracks. Yeah, it tracks fine enough. My issue all the time with these hybrid pushers is the tiny pusher guide on here. I just don't think it's needed. I feel like it snags darts and does weird things, and in this case it actually hits that part of the cage. And so what do? That's what I do with it. Pretty much just snip it off. Now when I watch it travel, it gets its maximum length and push, and to be honest, I'd like it to be as flat as possible, so I'm just gonna guarantee that. Snip and just a little bit of an angle. I do have the outer darts pusher as well. Now I tried that in a modulus and it actually did not like it as much as putting one of these in. I think I did have to do some shell cutting for the modulus for it to be have a clear path correctly. But I liked this one better than the out of darts one. But I almost was curious and wanted to try the out of darts one in a Stryfe since it was meant for a Stryfe and not a modulus, but I went ahead and just went with something that I knew that worked. You can always try it on another build. What else we got here? Oh. What else we got? We may have misplaced the barrel for this. Alright, well, I'm going to keep looking for the barrel, but there are other parts of the mod to talk about. So another part. So we know we have to have a front-facing adapter for this. Now it will fit in a regular stock Stryfe mag well, but the issue being, if you see in here, there's a ribbing in here that's like, it's basically meant for full-size magazines, Nerf magazines. And this is the ribbing up front here that I'm talking about. So when you look at it from here, when you stick a Talon mag in, that would normally be for an indention in a full-size mag, but the Talon mag, it would be straight up on the middle of its body. Do I have a Talon mag? I'll show you guys. Well, here's a clear one. I don't know if that'll work, but basically if I were to put the Talon mag in here, it would be hitting the ribbing right there. So this ribbing needs to be trimmed down. How much do you need to trim it down? You pretty much look at it straight down from the angle of the blaster, and you kind of just trim it down almost to nothing. I mean, we're talking like a few millimeters, maybe 4 or 5 millimeters high at most. And you just trim it straight down. Now on the opposite side of the shell, you do have to do the same thing. If you've ever done a front-facing adapter on a Stryfe, this magazine, there is a knob on the opposite side of the shell that's pretty, you'll see it. I've cut mine off. I didn't save it to show you guys. But basically, on this side, when the Talon mag goes up, it would just hit that thing, and then it would end up bending like sideways because it's hitting that thing. But that thing, you just kind of cut it flush with the ribbing height that's around it. Pretty easy cuts, to be honest. And again, all of this was snips. You know, I didn't use any Dremel. I could have. Even the battery tray, when I show you, all of it was done with snips. Let's see here. I think I have it. Oh yeah, that's where I was messing up here. I have no idea where this goes. Little stock barrel for the Nerf. You know what? It probably will be fine without it. or it'll, I don't know, jam up inside the blaster right near the front. Actually, look at that. If I look at the clearance, I think, oh no, I can't get it in angle. It's too tall. I think I will be fine without the barrel. So I'm just gonna leave it out. I know. Trigger. So the trigger here. Trigger in. Do I have a spring for that trigger? Huh. Things you forget to look for when you're doing a mod. How long is that? Nope, that's way too short. I made sure I had to return spring here. Just put this thing in here. I have to find out where that spring is. To be honest, it probably was supposed to be attached to this magnet, and it may have flown off. Well, bear with me, guys. I'm gonna see if I can find that spring. If not, I've got one out of my spare spring bin. It won't fit. It's not too heavy. It's one of those areas I personally would not like too heavy of a spring load. It's not bad. If I could find a lighter one, that would be pretty cool too. You know, the heavier the trigger pull, pretty much it's gonna throw off your aim basically more. So for me, for a trigger pull, the weaker the spring, the better. Definitely constant weak came so that's good. It's funny that I'm modding and it's like, how many times do you mod when you're looking for a weaker spring? Besides down position, I guess. However, that's a little too short. Okay. This one theoretically should work. And it is a little bit less robust. A little bit. A tiny bit short, just a tiny bit, but it's not bad. It feels decent, to be honest. So I'm gonna go with that one. Probably stick some hot glue in there, but I'm not really that concerned. I'm trying to remember which flat screw goes in this one. Is it a deeper one or a shorter one? I'm gonna go with a deeper one, just because. I don't know. It's actually, so out of these flat ones, the ones with the little washer type heads, it's the one with the thinner thread for the trigger. Oh, I almost forgot the lever arm. It comes off of the stock pusher. And it goes on the short dart extended pusher. So we have to use that little lever arm. Together. It's good. And this one is gotta be one of the thick ones, I guess. About the same length. And, oh. Nothing like fishing out a screw. Alright. Sorry, I am not fast forward editing this, guys. And I'm sorry I'm not having any interesting banter while I'm fumbling with the screws. Alright. Am I missing anything? Got my rev trigger. Got this dialed in. Alright. This I can actually insert after the blasters together. That is removable. Let's put a shell on this. Now I'm not going to do a FPS testing again. This was mainly for build help. I wanted to show you how simple it really is to, if you've got soldering skills, I mean, and you're afraid of shell cutting. You know, if you're afraid of soldering, you know, that's a little different, you know. I don't know if I can see it at this angle. I'm pretty sure, oh yeah, you can kind of see it from this angle. And it looks like I have clearance with that wheel, so. Anytime I have an issue where things are not shutting correctly, definitely want to look at anything that could be possibly in the way. Oh wait, is that part actually gonna... Actually it does. Does hit that part of the shell. That part of the it's right at the guide. So I'm discovering that there is a part of the shell. Is just a little bit, so I can just marker to draw a line. I'm going to draw blue on blue. Oh, that worked fine. Let me show you the part I think that was the culprit that was hitting the cage. Again, I've never seen a build guide for this. When I did my Stryfes, they were already gutted anyways for daybreaks, so there was very minimal stuff that I had to do. So the culprit is on the opposite shell, this part of the ribbing here. When I looked at it, I drew a little tiny line that ends about here that you probably can't see on camera. I'm just going to clip some more ribbing here. So that which part of the cage is it hitting? It's hitting right at this part of the cage right there, or the end of it, right where the guide is. So I was having trouble closing it. So from there, we're going to look at the battery tray, which is honestly, you can see on somebody else's build guide. Oh, this stupid thing. Wow, so we are still not shut and flush. Right there. So, there is a shell cutting guide from Dan's Blasters. I do urge you guys to revisit that. Basically, the part that is hitting is the part that I've already trimmed. It's right along here, just where the curvature on this cage. I didn't really account for that it's going to dip a little more on the other side. So, but if anything I can speak on, it's pretty easy to make these adjustments on the fly. I know some of you viewing have a lot more experience and some of you have less experience, but You know, all that matters is it's something you like to do. And if it's something that you wish somebody would make for you, you could always get it commissioned. I'm hoping this is the final revision of my shell cutting here. I believe. Actually, I probably should cut some more this way too. I'm trying to remember getting it on camera might be a little better. So you guys get an idea what's going on here. Thankfully, most of this stuff is not really visible to the outside. I mean, if you looked really closely at certain angles, diagonally, you might be able to be like, oh, I can see the cuts inside for that, for fit that cage. Right, I want to say that's plenty of room. Aren't we glad that we did that together? And I forgot this piece again. Piece that I didn't remember to put in. All right. So, flush. Man. So honestly, I'm still not flush. That part could still be hitting there. So I'll start from pinching the back end. I'll slowly close it. This end looking at an angle. That what's going on. Okay, so I had this little piece oriented backwards. Make sure you have this oriented the correct way, otherwise it'll drive you crazy. Or you're trying to shoot a video, trying to show people how easy everything is. So now we've got a nice flush fit. Yes, that was a wonderful journey of frustration together. So the video is already taking a lot longer than I thought. Let's see here. So this is the battery tray. I just kind of ripped a whole bunch with snips, sanded it out with some low grit heavy sandpaper, The hole is an existing hole here. My screwdriver's pointing. It's an existing hole here that I just kind of snipped out even bigger since it's already a hole, and it came from the motor tabs clicking through, so really I didn't have to use a drill or anything. And then I squeeze the wires through, and then I have my XT. This was actually an angled one from my flywheel, the World's kit. Anyways, I just soldered on the wire leads, and then had shrink wrap over those to go over the open connections, and then I had a really fat heat shrink that I put over the outside of it, over that heat shrink, just so that it's nice and secure. Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, this will come in here. This will go in here. And I don't have a 3S battery that has an XT30 on it, which is my B. But I do have a 2S, and it will still work on 2S. I don't recommend it for the band blasters. There are some applications where I will 2S a battery that is meant for 3S, but with these, you know, being such a nice tight hug of a crush on the darts, I mean, you know, if I can get that on camera, no I cannot, it's my angle, I'm too close to the table, but the crush on it is so close that you will want a decent amount of torque, so I recommend leaving it on 3S. It does perform on 2S. I hear, I don't know, 160s, 170s. I think it's still a beast on 2S. You know, running it on 2S is basically going to be 2/3 of the power for the motor, so you would have 2/3 of the torque and RPMs and all that. But even with that, it does run on a 2S. I just don't recommend it because I would like to continue to have a good amount of torque to make sure I don't have any jams. I'm not going to screw this all together. We should definitely at least show that it fires a dart. Here. Let me move my LiPo bag out of the way. I don't want to even 160, 170 FPS shoot at my LiPo bag. That's target red darts. Again, I'm not going to chroning yet because it's not the proper battery. This was for build purposes. And let's see if we can get some shots on camera. Ooh, yes. Okay, it's not going to show you. I can see how violent it is. I don't think. Yeah. Scary because I was just basically shooting at batteries and stuff in front of me. But that is my build guide on band blasters. That took way longer than I thought it would. I do like this XT30 connector. Maybe I'll get some more of these because I like how it fits in the battery tray a lot easier than a big old XT60, you know, size difference. And you know, it's able to handle, you know, the amperage, especially for most semi-flywheel setups. Yeah. So that thing, just got to stick all the screws back in it. It's basically all done. So I'm trying to open it back up so we can just. Everything is nicely fitted in there. Whew. Tight fit. But yeah, that's Band Blaster's short dart. Apparently I lost the barrel. It works fine, no barrel. It's just empty space. Yeah, this is going to a club member. He's been with me for a long time, and he's not really into doing any of the wiring stuff himself. He does do a lot of cosmetic stuff, and he does mess with springers, but you know, I had an extra Band Blaster set, so I decided that I'd like to do a build for somebody, at least a simple sleeper one. And man, who wouldn't want a 200 FPS sleeper Stryfe for free? Anyways, this is Thirsty for a Foe. Sorry, saw some loose hot glue in there. Hope you guys enjoyed the build video. I hope it added something to your knowledge base where, you know, maybe you'll want to get a Band Blasters set up yourself. I do want to say that it is beneficial to get it already with the wheels pushed on. And if you don't, and you're building something custom, you know, alignment is everything. And with these wheels, for how narrow it is and the deep concavity, I mean, if you're off by a little bit on the height of each wheel not being even, I mean, it feels smooth when I just run my finger over it, then it's gonna throw off everything. Performance, accuracy, it's just not gonna be as good. So I do recommend getting a pre-assembled setup still. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good night, and I hope you enjoy the video, and keep on modding.